Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Characteristic of or relating to people inhabiting a region from the beginning. Native Americans. An indigenous person who was born in a particular place. The art of the natives of the Northwest Coast. A person born in a particular place or country. He is a native of Brazil. As found in nature in the elemental form. Native copper. Belonging to one by birth. My native land. Characteristic of or existing by virtue of geographic origin. The native North American sugar maple. Indigenous plants and animals. Characteristic of or relating to people inhabiting a region from the beginning. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia. An indigenous person who was born in a particular place. The Canadian government scrapped plans to tax the grants to Aboriginal college students. Having existed from the beginning, in an earliest or original stage or state. Aboriginal forests. A member of the people living in Australia when Europeans arrived. An indigenous person who was born in a particular place. An indigenous person who was born in a particular place. An indigenous person who was born in a particular place. Without qualification. Used informally as, often pejorative, intensifiers. Pure folly. In a state of sexual virginity. Pure and vestal modesty. Of color, being chromatically pure, not diluted with white or gray or black. Concerned with theory and data rather than practice, opposed to applied. Pure science. Free from discordant qualities. Free of extraneous elements of any kind. Pure air and water. Used of persons or behaviors, having no faults, sinless. I felt pure and sweet as a new baby. Normally existing at birth. Present at birth but not necessarily hereditary. Acquired during fetal development. Normally existing at birth. Produced by inbreeding. Normally existing at birth. Mankind's connatural sense of the good. Similar in nature. And mix with our connatural dust. Originating where it is found. Autochthonous rocks and people and folktales. Of rocks, deposits, etc. Found where they and their constituents were formed. A servant who is paid to perform menial tasks around the household. Converted or adapted to domestic use. Domestic animals. Of concern to or concerning the internal affairs of a nation. Domestic issues such as tax rate and highway construction. Of or involving the home or family. Domestic worries. Produced in a particular country. Domestic wine. Of or relating to the home. Domestic servant. Of or relating to a disease, or anything resembling a disease, constantly present to greater or lesser extent in a particular locality. Diseases endemic to the tropics. Originating where it is found. Endemic folkways. A disease that is constantly present to a greater or lesser degree in people of a certain class or in people living in a particular location. A plant that is native to a certain limited area. It is an endemic found only this island. Native to or confined to a certain region. The islands have a number of interesting endemic species. Grown or originating in a particular place. Stands selling homegrown fruits and vegetables. Belonging to a place by birth. A native-born Scot. Originating where it is found. The Ainu or indigenous to the northernmost islands of Japan. Originating where it is found. The autochthonal fauna of Australia includes the kangaroo. Originating where it is found. A human being. Characteristic of or meant for a single person or thing. An individual serving. Being or characteristic of a single thing or person. Individual drops of rain. A human being. Separate and distinct from others of the same kind. Mark the individual pages. Concerning one person exclusively. We all have individual cars. A single organism. Causing or capable of causing death. Mortal combat. A human being. Involving loss of divine grace or spiritual death. Subject to death. Mortal beings. Unrelenting and deadly. Mortal enemy. The immaterial part of a person. The actuating cause of an individual life. Deep feeling or emotion. A human being. A secular form of gospel that was a major black musical genre in the 1960s and 1970s. Soul was politically significant during the civil rights movement. The human embodiment of something. The soul of honor. A human being. There was too much for one person to do. A grammatical category used in the classification of pronouns, possessive determiners, and verb forms according to whether they indicate the speaker, the addressee, or a third party. Stop talking about yourself in the third person. A human body, usually including the clothing. A weapon was hidden on his person. A human being. The state or fact of existing. A point of view gradually coming into being. A living thing that has, or can develop, the ability to act or function independently. A living thing that has, or can develop, the ability to act or function independently. A system considered analogous in structure or function to a living body. The social organism. Of or related to the island or country of Mauritius or its inhabitants. A native or inhabitant of Mauritius. A native or inhabitant of Russia. The Slavic language that is the official language of Russia. Of or pertaining to or characteristic of Russia or its people or culture or language. Official language of the Philippines, based on Tagalog, draws its lexicon from other Philippine languages. Of or relating to or characteristic of the Philippines or its people or customs. A native or inhabitant of the Philippines. A native or inhabitant of Seychelles. Of the Seychelles or their people. Formerly, a native or inhabitant of the Levant. Of or relating to the Levant or its inhabitants.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.